Sorry, Ali, to bug you with the fine print. How are you doing anyway?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Obviously had to brush off a disappointing couple of nights. So other than that, the boys are excited to move forward and looking forward to Saturday's challenge.
What is the sort of mood in the camp? I can't imagine it's pretty great after two heavy defeats.
Yeah, look, it's obviously never a nice place to be when you're losing football games, especially by those margins. But it was an opportunity to reflect and possibly face some harsh truths on Wednesday morning. But everyone's still positive, looking forward. We're still a point off the outside the playoffs with games in hand. So there's the group's still really positive, and obviously we've got the carrot at the end of the stick of playoffs football, and also in the meantime going home to play in front of the fans. So there's still plenty of positivity within the group, and there's no doubt that there's certainly belief within this group. We know we've got the quality to play finals football and do some damage when we're there. So it's an interesting one, especially with so many young players. It's important to brush off those results and not really let them get too down on it, and maybe let the senior players and others and Uffie and the coaching staff shoulder the burden of those kind of performances and protect those young boys a little bit and keep them positive and moving forward.
You mentioned Wednesday morning. Was there like a meeting or something, a sort of a coming together to sort of process what went on?
Yeah, absolutely. Same as any game, we all go away and analyze it and come back with thoughts and improvements and all those sorts of things. But we had a collective meeting together with the coaching staff and the whole group and broke down some key moments of where things went wrong and made some adjustments for the weekend. And I think that was an important thing to do given the nature of the two defeats. I think you have to micro analyze those sorts of games. Especially the Melbourne City game, we thought we were really quality for a lot of the game and just had half a dozen moments that let us down. And the Central Coast Mariners one was a little bit more frustrating than that because we went away from what we do so well and we weren't so disciplined tactically, and that really let us down against an opposition that made the most of it.
Yeah. You mentioned, looking after the young players, you had Riley making his debut. You've had Finn playing at centre back in front of you. Who else? Sam's had to sort of go to a relatively unusual role for where he's been playing. What does, I guess, looking after those guys look like from your perspective as, I guess, vice captain?
Well, look, it's a really exciting time for the club and for New Zealand football alike, with so many young players getting opportunities. I hope the fans and that are enjoying watching them grow as players, and they should be excited about what the future holds for those boys, because there's a lot of talent and they're incredibly hard workers, all of those young boys, very, very professional people. And as a person that's played a bit of football with them in the reserve side, I'm really proud of them and it's pleasing to see. And it's a time for them to step up and make the most of the opportunity, and stake a claim for starting 11 spots and contracts going forward and all those sorts of things. So it's very exciting. But yeah, in terms of sheltering them from, I guess, what's gone on the last couple of weeks, it's about keeping them in the right mind frame in terms of believing in themselves and believing in their abilities. We can't have players going into their shells. No, none of the boys became bad players overnight. We had a couple off nights and things didn't go our way, and we've reflected on that and analysed that, but no one became bad players overnight. They're all still quality lads and quality footballers, and it's about keeping their confidence high so they can go out and continue to do a job, because we're going to need each and every one of them. With our squad stretched and the busy schedule, everyone's going to contribute largely, probably more than usual. So keeping their confidence high, but also making sure they understand where things went wrong, especially when it was less so about execution and more about the discipline of remaining tactically structured, and we didn't do that. And I think that's an important part of the game, which this club under Uffie has it's been the pride of the group over the last 3 years, and that's been a little bit frustrating to watch us kind of step away from that when all the information's there and the coaching staff are giving us the right information, and we're just not going out there and being disciplined enough to stick to those structures. So it's important they understand that, important that they understand that That's not acceptable for our group. But in the same sense, you know, it's a balancing act of making sure they're still confident enough to go out there and do the job.
Is there any sense in which it sort of feels like perhaps the last 2 years have sort of caught up? You know, you obviously had that great run at the end of last season, even while you were in Australia. You know, you had a little run earlier this, you know, a couple of months back. Is there any sense in which it sort of feels like everything's sort of gone wrong at the worst possible time?
Look, there's no lying, there's no denying that those factors contribute to everything, you know, especially with such a young group. It's easy for those kind of outside factors to have an influence on the way they're feeling and the way they're playing. But as a group, I think it's almost become normal for us. You know, we've done it for quite a while now. It's not a little 6-week stint or anything like that. It's been a couple of years. So the boys are settled here and comfortable in their environment. So yeah, look, it's incredibly frustrating to play home games all over the place and not play in front of fans and all those sorts of things. But that's no excuse, because at the end of the day, it's 90 minutes, it's 11v11, and same rules apply for both teams. So we show up and we have to perform. That's what the club pays us to do. So yeah, look, you could probably make all the excuses under the sun, but for me, the performances over the last couple of weeks aren't a reflection of that so much. Just a couple of technical areas and tactical areas that we need to tweak.
No, cool. Brenton, I'll stop that bit there.